I've been working on a Christmas project. And for this Christmas project, I am using old denim jeans. Here are a bunch of squares and pieces that I've cut up. And I've just used old, worn out denim jeans. If you recycle denim jeans in any of your quilt projects, please be sure to tell me about that in the comments below. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you 15 tips for working with denim and denim jeans. Hello everybody, this is Michelle Fox and welcome to The Simple Quilter. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how I've turned old jeans into denim fabrics. I'm using these pieces of fabric for a Christmas project. Here's another one. And I've just made them the size that I need them to be. I didn't make them a specific size, just the size I needed them to be. And you'll have to excuse my voice today. I've had a bit of a sore throat and it's a little hoarse today. Using old denim jeans in your quilt projects is a great way to acquire fabric when you don't have a lot of funds to purchase it. And I will be showing you this project in another video later. So let's get started with those tips. I want to start out by giving you a few tips when cutting up denim jeans. To assemble my sheets of denim fabric, I'm going to be using old jeans, and I'm only going to use a few select pieces of the jeans. One thing that I'm careful of when using denim, I use 100% cotton. I don't want any spandex in the jeans. I don't want that stretch when I am piecing. I also try to cut the fabric on the straight of grain if possible, because I do want the least amount of stretch within my project. Now right here is the knee, and I do avoid that because I can tell it's not laying really flat. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but I can see it here. And there's a little bit of stretch there. So I'm going to avoid the front part of the knee. The back of the knee, I usually don't see stretch. So the back of the knee is fine, but I am going to avoid this part right here. When sewing denim, you're going to want to use a stronger thread. You can use polyester, or you can, if you use Aerofill, you can use a 40 weight. Or whatever kind of thread you use, you can use a heavier weight. The heavier weight means a stronger thread. Also, you want to use denim needles. This says jeans needles when you're sewing, so you're not breaking needles. This is just a little bit stronger of a needle than the other universal needles or quilting needles. Now, stains on jeans or tears on jeans can add interest to your projects, or you may not want those torn fabrics in your project. So just be aware of that. Also, you can use the pockets to add interest to your piece. This one has a little leather label that I think is neat. You can also remove these labels and add them to your denim to add interest. I think that's a neat thing that you can do. And there are lots of neat pockets on jeans today. I do think it's important to watch for the thickness of the seams. If you want to include the seams, be careful of the thickness. Some of these seams are really thick and may be hard for your machine to go over. Alright, I'm going to show you how I cut up jeans to use them. Okay, and sometimes I don't use the pocket, but I am going to be using the pocket in this project. So let's just get started here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut through this, and I'm going to go close to this seam right here. I want to use as much, I want to get as much denim out of this as possible. Okay, I'm going to come over to the back side, and I want to save the pocket on the back side. I won't be able to use this pocket, but when I cut out this pocket, I'm going to cut way over close to the seams here. Let me show you that. I'm going to do that. Actually, I'm going to go above here because I may remove this to give me a little bit of extra fabric so that I can use that pocket. Now when you're doing this, you want to be sure you have good sharp scissors because this can be very hard on your hand. Cut along here, again trying to save as much of the denim as I can. So here we have this big piece of denim, and again we're going to avoid this part right here because that's where the knee was and you can see the stretch there. In fact, I'm just going to mark this with a pen because I want to be careful not to use that area and forget that that stretched out area is right there. Now you could use this seam if you'd like. I'm going to cut all this out and just try to use this flat area because I want my pieces to lay flat. Now as I cut out this pocket, I want to be sure to leave plenty of room to sew that pocket into my project. And I am going to rip that out and fold that out just to give me a little bit more seam line there. Then you can just take your square rulers and start cutting into squares or strips or whatever pieces you want. In the past, I've cut large stacks of squares, but for this project, I don't have to have the squares. Now, I will be using some of my squares, but strips of fabric are also going to work. You could even use your rotary cutter to do this and spare your hand a little bit there. So you have a pretty nice piece of fabric with which to work here. Okay, again, you can just take your rotary cutter and just go right along those seams. It's a little bit easier on your fingers, hand, and wrist than using scissors. There you go. I'm going to avoid that knee. Now, as you can see here, I've used a variety of denims, different colored jeans. They're all 100% cotton, but as you can see, I just cut out a variety of squares. I tried to use the largest squares possible, and when I couldn't use the larger squares, I just cut smaller squares. And I have to say, cutting them up is easier than storing the whole pair of jeans. Now, as you can see here, I just started adding pieces. I sewed them on and trimmed, sewed and trimmed, and you can see the back side. I did use a little bit wider seam on the denim. You can use a wider seam and trim it down. For my project, I'll be using a lining, so you won't be seeing the seams. If you're going to be using denim for, say, the back of a quilt, then I do think you need to use a little bit larger seam. I think it makes it stronger. And it will certainly be easier to repair if a seam comes apart than if you just use 1/4 of an inch. Okay, you can see how I've opened that seam up just to give me just a little bit more fabric to work with there. I'm going to trim this up just a little bit so I'll have a straight edge to work with. Same down here. And the same over here. Don't like all those threads, so I'm going to trim that off too. Now, since I'm going to start with the pocket, alright, so I also just took some of the squares I had and just started sewing them together to make pieces that I could use with these, like these. And I like to use a variety of denim fabrics. I want a piece, I'm looking for a piece that goes clear across there. This will be a good one, and I like the differences in the, oh, here's a good piece right here. I like the differences in the coloration of the fabrics. So I'm just going to take this to my machine and I'm going to sew this piece right along there, and then I'm going to press it open. You can see how I added that and I pressed the seam open, and I'm just going to make another straight edge here. So that I can add more pieces to that. I'll trim this one down a little bit here too. Just keep adding pieces. So I'll just keep adding pieces until I have the desired size of fabric. I'm going to add this here. Now, another tip for when sewing with denim, this is a good time to use your clips versus your pins. If you have pins that bend easily, you can just use your little fabric clips to hold your fabric in place while you sew. And I also use my walking foot. So I'm just going to keep adding pieces just like this. And over here, once I have that folded out, I can add, another piece like that and just keep adding until I have the fabric piece large enough. For the very last tip, I'm not sure I included this one, but be sure to press your seams open because denims is so thick, it's going to help your project lay a little bit smoother. And be sure to press those seams really well. This is a great time to use a little bit of starch, and if you have them, use your wooden clappers. Please be sure to leave any comments in the comment section below. Tell me what Christmas projects you're working on. Tell me what projects you've used denim with. I do hope you've enjoyed today's video. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And until next time, have fun quilting.